maybe this is not something a lot of people at QuickUp want to know, but if you, at any point in that timeline, there was an average of 6 weeks worth of cash. So it's almost like, what, like four years and a couple of months where I'm always having to worry about next month and paying salaries and meeting payroll, etc.
Today on the show, we're joined by Basel Kusa, the co-founder and CEO of QuickUp, a hyper-local delivery pioneer that began life in a London living room and has since transformed into a B2B e-commerce powerhouse based in Dubai. In this episode, we're going to discover why Basel refocused QuickUp on B2B e-commerce, relocating into Dubai in a change or die moment that secured the company's future. We're going to hear how he built and managed 200 plus drivers and 100 plus employees to deliver same-day fulfillment across the UAE. Let's start the episode.
What was the origin story of QuickUp?
I met my co-founders working at a VC fund in London. That was back in 2012 into 2013. And we kind of we came up with the idea there. We left the fund in at the end of 2013. We started in 2014. And the starting point was that we were an on-demand consumer delivery app. And we basically provided people with access to their immediate marketplace. You could get anything delivered to you from anywhere within 30 to 40 minutes. And we started that from a little living room in London, basically.
And do you remember where were you when this idea first came to life?
Yeah, I was sitting at my desk at the VC. Prior to that, my co-founders today, back then we were discussing for a while that we wanted to leave and we wanted to start our own thing. Thing about like working at a VC fund is that you're exposed to all these amazing ideas and companies popping out of nowhere and growing. And so I was reading TechCrunch, doing my natural scan of like what's going on in the market, and I click onto this like article about Postmates. They had just raised a round. Postmates was doing what we wanted to do, but in San Francisco, and they had just started. And all I could think about was how well that resonated with me personally. You know, the idea of being able, and this might not sound very novel now, but back in 2013, the idea of being able to tap on your phone and get something delivered to you within 30 minutes was a big deal. And for me, you know, inherently very lazy and not wanting to do chores, it just resonated quite a lot. And so, you know, I just went to my co-founders. I'm like, guys, this is it. This is what we need to do. And yeah, that kind of like stuff.
How did you get this conviction? Because you probably had a lot of ideas, no?
Yeah, we had a lot of ideas. And I think the difference between this idea and every other idea that we had is that, you know, we were users of this idea. Okay. We understood the problem really well. We knew the pain. And so we wanted to build something for ourselves. And so that kind of started the
So we were scratching your own itch.
Basically, right?
And what's exactly the problem that we're trying to solve in the early days?
Not having enough time. London is miserable for parts of the year. It's dark, it's raining, it's cold.
It is.
Go to a grocery store and carry those bags while it's raining, while it's dark, and walk home. I mean, it was annoying, actually. So, you know, we thought, okay, if we're able to bring that home using mobile location-based services, kind of the crowd-sourced model, that would solve a problem, bringing people back time. That is the main thing. That's the main currency that we were trading. We're giving people back time.
And how was it launching from a living room in London and making the first deliveries?
Man, that was the best part of the whole journey. Yeah. Man, it was, you know, we started off and we were in that living room and, you know, we wanted to experience the product ourselves to understand the mechanics of it, what we had just built. So we went out and started delivering ourselves, eventually hired a couple of drivers, but then we did a couple of marketing gimmicks where we kind of went a bit counterintuitive. We made it very difficult for people to access the app, and just like we're able to push ourselves a bit on social media with some influencers, and that really accelerated demand very quickly. We weren't able to hire drivers as fast as we could service the demand while we were still in alpha mode. We were in an MVP mode. It wasn't even on the App Store. We had like sort of an app that you can access through a code and you download, etc. So we needed to go we needed to go and fulfill these deliveries ourselves. And I remember, man, once I was in the Mini Cooper that I had in London, and I was driving, and I was dispatching orders to others on my phone while I was driving to deliver to a client. My co-founder Tim, Dutch guy, he was out on his bike scaling the entirety of London. I swear, I think in a month's time the guy lost 15 kgs in just delivering. But I think that to bring it, to center this back on the value of what we did, is we were engaging directly with the customer. We understood immediately what that emotion we triggered when we delivered the item. We understood what it felt like for the drivers on the road in doing what they do. And we engaged with the product. The feedback loops were so tight. The way that we delivered the product at that time and the way that we built was so on point. Everything that we did was so impactful because we were doing exactly that. We were in the product, right?
One of the hardest things is when you launch is how can you get the first 10 or 100 customers? What is the marketing gimmick that you use with the influencers to start getting demand?
We just we really just focused on the novelty of it all. Right? So it was so new to be able to get anything you wanted in London within 40 minutes. And so we had a couple of people that were posting, and really it wasn't prompted. We just gave them access to the app early on, and we said, look, just post whatever you order. And they were posting the most ridiculous stuff, like buying super expensive like shoes from Harrods. One person bought an entire garden, and I'm not joking. Garden, yes. Like basically, this guy in Belgravia goes and orders grass rolls.
Okay.
He was literally furnishing his garden. Grass rolls, trees, okay,
no way,
and like some bushes and flowers and whatever that he wanted to plant in soil. And so we're like, you know what, like, let's do it. Like, let's actually deliver this order. We went and we hired a van. There was Zipcar at the time, so you can get a van really quickly for moving homes or whatever. So we hired that van, got 3 people into it, and loaded up that van and basically went to the customer's house. And he did not believe that was going to happen.
Oh, really?
he was just like, you know what? Yeah, let me push this to the max. And we delivered it. And there was there was this moment and another moment and another moment. So they started to pile up these little kind of moments in which we wowed customers, and they kind of spread the word, basically. And that sort of accelerated the business.
You guys started from the grassroots. You actually delivered to the customers. 100%. And you actually built this feedback loop as well.
Absolutely. We still, man, look, every year we have, here in Dubai, we have November peak season, which is the Singles Day, White Friday, Cyber Monday, all of that. And so that drives a lot of sales for e-commerce. We are a conduit to e-commerce. So, and we are all involved in that process. We still do deliveries. We are still in the warehouse. We're helping on the ground. And I think it's a very important piece of the puzzle for you to build a legit product.
The product part and my weakness, which is operation, is very operation heavy. But how did your experience as a venture capital help you, like an edge to build QuickUp?
Look, being on the other side of the table, you've written those term sheets, you've ripped those models apart, you've scrutinized, so you understand what they're looking for. You understand the language, you understand what they're looking for. But I think more importantly, you were able to see possibility, right? You had these founders walking in through the door and they were pitching massive ideas. Man, I looked at Twitch early on, right? The VC that I was working at basically had that deal on the table. They didn't invest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this was Twitch when it was in the tens of millions of dollars valuation, right?
Yeah.
So
after TV, they used to call TV Justin TV.
Yeah. So it was just after that, actually. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like and you saw these like massive successes, and all it took was this person that you saw in front of you with massive imagination and fuel from the VC. So yeah, the combination of understanding what the language is and what they're looking for, and also seeing possibility, was very helpful.
But where did you know that you find product market fit? It's really hard to define product market fit, but when did you know, okay, we got a winner here?
So it's happened to us a couple of times, right? Because we pivoted.
Okay.
And we can talk about that pivot in a second. But I think maybe if we reflect on the first moment, because we're in that conversation about London, it's when the business is growing, retaining, without you doing anything almost, right? Like it was like there was a moment in time when it just went parabolic, and all we were doing is trying to catch up to it. And it was at that point that we knew people need this product, and it's really resonating with them to the point that without us even marketing, they're telling all their friends and they're doing the marketing for you, right? And word of mouth, but in a very accelerated way. So man, we didn't actually do any real marketing in QuickUp in London for the first, like, I think 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Yeah, dude. Like it was all just organic. And okay, we can talk about whether that was a good call or a bad call. The truth is that the business was growing at several multiples year on year without it. So,
mashallah. And then you decided to pivot. What was the reason for the pivot?
Yeah, so there's so many reasons for the pivot, and I feel like we can have an entire podcast just on that. But if I were to kind of like summarize that for you, we were seeing where this business was going. This business was going to require a ton of capital to continue to sustain, and for you to kind of be able to get to unicorn status, beyond, be able to expand to several markets, continue to attract investors. So it was a very capital intensive business. The unit economics will not make sense until way later in the journey.
And profit margins is very thin.
Super. And you can expand them, but it happens way later in the journey. And I mean, the proof is, I mean, you look at Deliveroo's story and Delivery Hero's story, it's only very recently that they've only made it to kind of that bottom line break even. So, and that is not to say that we weren't managing to raise. We raised a lot of money at the same time. We were player number 2. Deliveroo had a head start, about a year and 9 to 10 months to be precise in terms of a head start. When we first entered the market, we were like 10 different players, and they all kind of started to fall. And in the end, it was the two of us. They were ahead. They had raised multiples more than we had. And then you had Uber that makes an announcement to basically enter the space, right? And their first market was London. Uber Eats first launched in London. We were somehow seeing that writing on the wall before. And we had been testing with sort of using our tech in our operations to kind of service other businesses. So becoming a last mile delivery as a service, and with a bit extra, with a bit of extra technology that would enable businesses to do more than just last mile, but we can get to that later. So we were testing with that, and we managed to get some interesting contracts with the likes of Tesco, H&M, etc. And so when Uber made that announcement and entered the market, a couple of things happened. One is that our cost of acquisition started to go dramatic. And the second thing was that the investor pool started to dry up. It was very difficult to convince anyone to fight that fight, right? They had a war chest. They needed to prove a point. That was the point, is to eliminate us and to kind of take that part of the market. So the great thing is that we had been sort of looking into what eventually became our pivot later, which is the move towards basically delivering what we had towards other businesses, for them to have the power to say to their customers, you can get your stuff now, you can get your stuff tomorrow, etc. So yeah, that's kind of like what the summary of it. There's like many sub stories within that, but we can cover that later.
How did that decision affect the team? I mean, that's a really tough decision, no?
Yeah.
I would not have the guts, to be honest. I would not courageous enough to say this in front of my team. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just speaking to my co-founder about it. 19th of March 2019.
You remember the date?
Oh man, I actually got goosebumps now, because it was the single most difficult thing I've had to do. I stood up in front of like 105 people, and I said, guys, it is not going to work. like, hey, this is it. Like, we reached the end of the line. So, but you had to do that, right? Like we had at that time, the pivot was manifesting in us coming into the UAE. It was another kind of way for us to prove the concept, right? That we are able to sell this service as B2B and kind of differentiate in that way. And UAE was taking off. And the only way to save the business was to basically call it a day on what we were doing in London and making that speech that I did. Basically,
and why did
that speech?
And why did you decide to come to the UAE? What year did you come to the UAE?
Personally, it was kind of 2019, end of 2019, beginning of 2020 is when I moved. But we launched in UAE towards the end of 2017. So really 2018 was the proper launch.
17, 18, it's not very mature market comparing to London. I mean, why did you choose the UAE, not the States? Or like anywhere else in the world?
A couple of reasons, but I can give you a smart answer. I can give you the real answer. The where we were in the UK, we had a contract with Tesco, where we were both building the delivery service for them to be able to deliver within 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It was the first grocery Q-commerce as we know it today in Europe that was being launched with us.
That was a
Tesco.
really big partner as well.
Man, it was meant to be the breakthrough. That. And then we had you're gonna laugh at this. March 19, 2018, 1 year before I had to make that decision, we hear from Nike that was going to give us a massive contract in London for us to do their same day, next day deliveries, that they're delaying the decision by a year because they're waiting to see what's going to happen with Brexit.
Okay.
So that was another contract. And H&M,
these are really big brand names,
yeah, dude. Man, we were on the cusp. Like it was the pivot was really just about to happen and go bananas, right? But we were unlucky with Tesco. With Tesco, basically, we launched the project. We invested quite a lot in it. We had Tesco stores sort of logically mapped in the driver app. They could do replacements of product, all the stuff that you can do with InstaShop now. We had it all the way back then, and you can order Tesco in 30 minutes. And the whole infrastructure was built by QuickUp. They basically there was a restructure in Tesco. That entire team was let go. The budgets were cut because they were going through a difficult time, and we were caught in that crossfire. So then that never really happened for Tesco again, right? So that happens. The Nike thing I just told you, Brexit. And H&M were kind of like a slow start. We were doing volumes that were slowly increasing. They really wanted to test the waters with this like fast delivery thing. They were doing 3 to 5 day delivery. We brought them into the same day. So they didn't want to kind of go all in on it yet before they feel very confident. And we didn't have those time frames. Like every month that passed, I'm thinking about the cash burn, etc. So at the time we had an anchor investor from the region. And basically they kind of like said to us, look, come to the region. We have our own businesses there in retail, etc. And there's a lot of synergies for us to work together. Now, the smart part of the answer is that when we looked at the region, we're like, okay, e-commerce is like literally non-existent even, right? When we first looked at it, it was like in 3 to 5% penetration rate. When we entered the market, it was around 7 to 9%. Still, the numbers are tiny. But what we thought is like, there's no way that e-commerce is not going to be a major part of this economy. Like, look at...
Wow, really?
Yeah, but look at how it's structured. Like, you can't walk and buy your stuff, right? It's very simple. Like, topographically, right? And also young people, highly plugged in, etc. So why don't we call it early? We can come into the market and build a name for ourselves and wait for that moment where the market inflects. So we came in, and we built a really powerful last mile delivery solution. Initially, we did a bit of restaurant and grocery, but our main objective was to service e-commerce. And we made it so focused on the end customer experience. The whole thing was digitized, trackable, etc. All the things that you would expect. That we were able to, and the quality was so high that we were able to attract Sephora as one of our first clients, and then Boots, and then H&M, and then a bunch of Al-Shaya brands, and a bunch of Azadea brands, etc. So from the get-go, we gained notoriety by working with brands that really cared about that customer experience, because we really built for that. And we knew that there was a gap in the market at that time. Any e-commerce business that was not Noon and Amazon fully integrated had to go to the traditional incumbents. And those guys weren't e-commerce minded, right? So they didn't deliver the kind of solution that the modern consumer was expecting. So we built that, and we had that positioning. The catalyst was COVID. COVID accelerated the market. COVID opened up the opportunity for SMEs to independents, entrepreneur-led e-commerce brands to enter the space, and that was our moment, basically.
Man, I spoke with Ronnie from Souk.com that became Amazon, Mona Ataya, the founder of Mom's World. And when they started e-commerce, like, Mahmoud, we did not have any enablers in the market. We did not have someone like QuickUp. They need to deliver their own delivery themselves. It was very, very hard for them. So that's why when you came this not very mature market and you start to create this customer experience, what differentiate you from the people who are actually were delivering here, from other incumbents?
Look, you had logistics companies that had their business in cross-border freight, courier, etc., that adjusted to e-commerce on their operations. We built a product for e-commerce, for the e-commerce user, for the e-commerce consignee, right? Like the end customer. We come from that consumer background, and so we understand what that consumer expects, and we built for the e-commerce merchants. So I think that, like, that is what we came in and did differently.
I love your answer. Yeah. And I know exactly those people, and initially for them, delivering something in 2 weeks, or maybe then it was 1 week, for them it was a big deal. And then you guys came, was like, no guys, we can deliver it
4 hours.
Oh, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
But how did you get, when you first came to the market, how did you get those big brands? How did you get Sephora, for example, as a first customer? That's freaking insane.
Look, I have to give a lot of credit to the team that built QuickUp in the UAE, the starting team of QuickUp in the UAE, because a lot of that came from that team. I wasn't even here at the time, and I think that it was a combination of as I said to you, speaking the language that customer wants to hear, right? Like, okay, we are going to make your customer happy, and that is our job. And so everything that we built in this is to deliver that and complement that with great product, great operations, excellent operations actually, and the last thing is hustle, right? Like I think we leveraged our networks. The GM at the time, Daniel Zain, actually did a great job in connecting to the right people at the right moment and getting those deals done. And then when you have one and you prove your worth, you do the work well, it gets noticed basically, and so it kind of snowballs.
But you guys started from a living room in London with a certain product. Then you guys move all the way to Dubai, different market with a different product. What is there anything remained from the original DNA of the company, or no? Because it changed too much, no?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've grown as people. Also, it's been 10 years. But I think that
10 years, by the way, 10 years in the Middle East, this is like a lifetime, guys. So kudos for you, 10 years, man.
Thank you, man. So look, the culture has remained kind of on point the whole time. We didn't waver on that. There's the values that myself and my co-founders stand for, have remained constant, and have kind of a bit shaped the direction of the business constantly.
I have a question about culture, but we can dive into it.
Yeah.
Regarding culture, I thought that culture, you go into a meeting room, you brainstorm idea, and then you put things on the wall. This is our culture. Yeah. How do you actually implement culture after you decide like this will be our culture?
But you start with yourself. Right. So you embody those values that you want the organization to follow.
Customer obsession. It's one of the values. How can I implement this across the team? But this problem I have right now, for example, my product managers they don't. So when you said you deliver the things yourself, I was like, hell yes.
Yeah.
But our team, sometimes they like to be in the office and they don't go and talk to customers.
But what are you doing to encourage them to do so?
I should push them out of the meeting.
I don't know. I feel like the way that I've approached it is for me is my favorite thing to do is speak to the customers.
Oh, really?
And I think that there's at least once a day, if not once every 2 days, that I'm speaking to one customer at all times every single week, and I have that at the office. I have that over video conferences that I invite other members of the team to.
Oh, really?
So I think that you lead by example. There's been moments. We're in the operations business, so there are moments in which you have a difficult customer, for example, and somehow, man, I don't know. It's like the product gods, right? Like when you have a difficult customer and you screw up with them once, somehow it just keeps happening. I don't know why. That same customer, it's okay for everyone except for the one guy who you don't want to mess up with. So you can hear comments from people, from the customer's reaction. Sometimes even your own co-founders are fed up and they say, I don't want to deal with this guy or whatever. This guy is XYZ. I'm not gonna kind of say these here, but my job is always to say, but dude, this is exactly what we want, right? Like what is this but an opportunity for you to see what you're not seeing, right? And this for me, and like always never wavering on going into the, oh well, yeah, you're right, this customer is difficult. No, actually everything has a learning to come from, and that is what it means to be customer obsessed. And I think that I personally don't waver on that. And I think that then that sort of hopefully translates into the organization over time.
That's a good point. But the reason, I don't know if you know this, the impact that QuickUp had on the region, especially in COVID time, you guys enabled not just the big brands, a lot of SMEs, small companies, e-commerce stores. They were very much dependent on you, especially in COVID, even after COVID. How does QuickUp Tech enables e-commerce brands here in the region to grow?
So our whole kind of objective is to make it simpler for businesses to handle their operations, those e-commerce brands, for them to not have to worry about logistics, for them not to have to think about logistics in a technical way. So we provide a very simple solution where we integrate into their web store, and then with us, they offload their entire kind of operational stack. That means everything from storage, picking and packing,
even packing,
delivering locally, delivering internationally, delivering returns, the management of returns, the communication with the customer, the making sure that the customer knows everything that's happening along the way, and we do that. No one is a logistics expert at QuickUp, by the way. Like, we don't have anyone in the leadership team who has had a past in logistics. Okay. No one's been hired from Aramex or whatever, like any of the logistics majors, and it is almost on by design. Every time we come back to this, well, shall we hire someone from the industry? And somehow we revert back to this, like, we're looking for problem solvers, first principle thinkers who are gonna take this complex thing, which is logistics, and make it simple. You go onto our dashboards, the post integration, and it just makes things simple. You can see everything all in one place. Soon we'll be providing you with insights, prompting you to make better decisions, helping you make better decisions. And all of it is geared towards making your customer happier in their experience. So, whenever we launch a service, and we think about how that service feeds into the chain that then feeds into what the end customer experiences. Because ultimately, if we're making that end customer happy, you're going to be as a merchant, you're going to be happy. So, and one of the questions that we talked about is like, how do you help them with their kind of same day, next day, 4 hours, etc. We always kind of look at every customer and we think about what is the best setup for them in terms of the delivery timeframes and what will deliver the best experience based on the type of product that they're selling and the type of customer they're selling to, all the way to where their customer is. So now one of the things that we're working on and we kind of launched in this year is we're seeing a lot of volume go from the UAE into Saudi. That volume is being shipped internationally. It's being custom cleared, and so with that, the cost is high because you're shipping internationally. Then you're having to clear in customs, and then you're having to deliver in that country. It takes a lot of time. The experience is not that great. If that customer wants to return, it's not as straightforward as if the delivery was happening for them locally. So what we're offering solutions to our merchants is, guys, okay, like if you want to deliver a better experience for your customer that is in Saudi, you can shift some of your inventory with us into Saudi. You don't need to have a local entity there. We remove the need for you to think about the legality, the operations, everything, and it's all sitting in one dashboard. We make it super simple for businesses to locate their inventory in both countries and be able to ship locally and deal with returns and give their customers a great experience.
Man, you guys have been in business 10 years. I can count on my fingers the number of companies has been stayed for that long. What leadership lessons have stuck with you throughout this journey? This does not happen by chance. This is not luck.
Man, look, I think that this, like they say that like your thoughts become your reality, right? And your reality is whatever lens that you want to see the world in. And I say, and then the reason why I say these things as cheesy as they are is because we've been through very, very, very difficult times. I can tell you that between 2018, when we started to realize that it was around February 2018 when we started to realize that this kind of like London thing is not going to work out and this pivot needed to happen for us to succeed, etc. And funding started to dry up with us being against Uber, etc. So from February 2018 up until June 2022, if you plot a line and you drop a pin at any point in that timeline, maybe this is not something a lot of people at QuickUp want to know, but at any point in that timeline, there was an average of 6 weeks worth of cash. so it's almost like like 4 years and a couple of months where I'm always having to worry about next month and paying salaries and meeting payroll, etc. Okay, so I think that, I don't know what it is, whether it was my upbringing. I think that has something to do with that, and being Lebanese. But there was this. My process was always to visualize a reality in which we were going to come out of that winners. And what winners meant was a lot of different things at different times, but that we were going to make it and we were going to pass through the difficult times and get to the other side. And I was relentless. There was no stopping, no giving up, no wavering. No matter how difficult it was hard work again and again and again and again until we got there. I did not let it go for a second. Everything in my life took a back seat until we got to the point where we came out the other side. That was that.
How do you stay resilient? To be very honest with you, I will not be able to handle some pressure. I will cave in. I don't want to keep worrying 4-6 weeks of man. How did you become resilient through all this pressure?
Look, there's moments in that when you realize that the struggle is part of the beauty of the whole journey. those moments don't last much, but you kind of try to hold on to them. And then there's what conversation you're having with yourself throughout that whole time. Are you having a positive conversation with yourself? Are you visualizing that kind of opening in the window in which you're going to kind of make it through, or are you just looking at the world in darkness, right? So yeah, like I think it was a lot of this mental process of constantly kind of directing myself forward, and then did a lot kind of work with music. I was mixing music and stuff. It was a way for me to kind of take my mind to different places. I had a great support system around me, amazing friends, amazing partner. It was honestly amazing family, well surrounded. Although Lebanon was going through a very tough time.
It always is. Always is.
Very tough time. And my family was going through a ridiculously tough time, but maybe that's a story for another day. So I had like nothing. At the time that we needed to pivot QuickUp, nothing, there was no solid ground anywhere I looked around me in my personal life, my family life. And it was just the support system again and that process.
Do you have any habits, routine, things that you did to keep mentally strong? Because again, those things that happened to you when you decided to switch, those with Tesco, with Nike, those things can easily bankrupt a company, man.
Yeah, it's true. I had great investors.
No ice bath. Ice bath.
I had great investors. They were, we managed to get through this together. On a personal level, as I said to you, it was the support system. It was the music, and then eventually the physical part came through, which was I started running, and that just like changed the whole game, because running became the manifestation of that entire journey. It's like when I was out and trying to do distances, everything in your body tells you stop.
Exactly.
And you need to kind of like get over that and get into that flow of changing that conversation in your body to move forward. And that started having a lot of parallels in my work.
And I'm trying to reflect back. What is something that you wish that you know on day one that you know right now?
How beautiful the struggle is.
It's beautiful, the struggle.
Yeah, man. Honestly, if the story was linear, I don't think I'll be the person that I am today. I don't think I'll have the learnings, the depth of thought, whatever it is that the character, whatever it is that gives you. And I think I look back at something that I went through with endearment, actually.
And what is like the proudest moment in this journey, you think?
I don't think there was a proudest moment. I think there's like a timeline of pride. And that timeline stretches, I think, from September 2023 up until like very recently, because there was a moment in that timeline when I kind of let go of the business in a way. I kind of separated my identity from the outcomes of the business, and started to see things a bit more clearly. And with that, I took bolder moves in the face of my shareholders, my investors. And then as a team, we really got together and started we took a series of decisions that led to a major transformation that got the business to where it is today. And today, we are in a beautiful spot. I'm really excited about our future.
Man, this is a very good point, because I attach myself too much to the company, and my identity, if the company failed, that's mean I failed.
Yeah.
That's why when you detach yourself, that's a really, really strong statement.
Yeah, it's very empowering to do that. And it's very difficult to do that.
Man, I'm very excited about the evolution of QuickUp. Now it's like you guys do the operating system of e-commerce in general.
Basically.
And what do you think is like the next 5 years? What do you have for logistics innovation?
Look, there's
anything you're specifically excited about?
Man, AI. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's so much that we can do to help these businesses grow, because of the fact that we've built from the ground up for these businesses. Now we understand these businesses well. We've been gathering quite a lot of data on their behaviors, and with AI, there's so much that can be unlocked in how we support them in making better decisions and in throttling their business, growing it faster, and filling all these needs that are blocking them. So things like helping these businesses understand what their true cost for every single order delivered at what point in time, to what customer, to what country, helping them know exactly when to buy what stock and how to spread it across which countries. And there's just so much to do to help these to really become a conduit for growth and become sort of like an advisor to these businesses beyond just dealing with their operations.
I'm validating something with drones. I might get just a new startup with it. But what do you think about drones in delivery? Or
So
just a
you're
fad?
on the operations side? No, I think there's we're seeing Waymo succeed right now. So driverless vehicles are a part of our reality already, right? So those vehicles can carry parcels in them. Doesn't need to necessarily fly. Now, drones. So that's for the automated ground vehicles. For drones, that's already happening, man, and it will continue to happen, and it will grow. But it will have specific use cases. One, to kind of haul products from one part of the country to the other faster. Deliver very urgent deliveries of for medical needs, or to deliver to remote locations. I mean, I see these use cases flourish over time, and they are.
And if you're a founder in the Middle East, if a founder in the Middle East listening today, what is the one piece of advice you would like to leave them with?
I think I'll go back to that point that I told you. What did I enjoy most about the whole thing, and what would I have wanted to know if I had just started, is enjoy the struggle. That is the one thing that I would say to people.
Man, it takes a very specific type of individuals to look at it, because man, I would not have the same perspective if I was your shoes, man. But I know we're running out of time. We still have a lot of questions we didn't cover. But where do our audience can find you, can support you? How can we learn more about you or QuickUp?
Yeah, look, I mean, visit our website, QuickUp.com, QuiQUP.com. Follow me on LinkedIn. I have not been very active, but I will be. And follow us on our socials.